So in the last class, we talked about the basics and fundamentals of digital marketing, where we highlighted a lot of digital marketing strategies, and we also talked about digital marketing techniques as well. But in today's class, we're going to go to like introduction into e-commerce because this is the next phase in the curriculum. So I believe that everyone has seen the video from the last class, and if you need to revisit it to learn or to like get to just like freshen up your knowledge about it, you can watch the videos. So in this class, we're going to be talking about e-commerce and how the class will progress from here. So e-commerce is a very common terminology. It's a very common thing that we've heard in today's digital economy, but it is something that we still have to talk about, even if it's something that we might have experienced in our lifetime of using technology. So what in essence is e-commerce, right? So e-commerce, short for electronic commerce, refers to the buying and selling of products or services over the internet. And in since inception, right, it has transformed the way businesses operate, and it has also transformed the way consumers shop as well. And in the course of this discussion, we would highlight some relatable examples on how we can gain deeper understanding of how or deeper understanding of what e-commerce is. So I'm going to be transitioning from my slides to my notepad, where we'll just flow from there. All right, so like I've mentioned, e-commerce is refers to the buying of selling of products and services over the internet. And for example purposes, you would relate e-commerce to things like to products or like Jumia, Konga, and the likes of them like that are in Nigeria. I'm sure that we might have experienced, using those products or using um, those services, right? So going back to what I just said, like I said, at one point in our lives, living in Nigeria, wherever it might be streaming from, we must have, experienced using some e-commerce products or e-commerce services. And I highlighted some examples, just like Jumia, like Konga, and Gigi, and the rest of them like that. And since the inception, it has really, really transformed the way businesses operate in Africa or in Nigeria, right? Before you would have to like go to different places. For instance, let me use Jumia for example. Things that you would buy on Jumia, things like gadgets or some piece of tech or a microphone, for instance. If you wanted to get that physically, you would have to go to a market. And if you're in Lagos, you would have to go to somewhere like Computer Village or a global or a local, like a very popular local technology store, right? And before you even get what you're looking for, you might have to tour like 3 to 5 shops to even get that, right? But with the advent of e-commerce, you have the luxury of convenience. You have there's just a lot that it has done to bring things like convenience, to bring things like cheaper products, and also to bring things like um, access to global products as well. Because a lot of things that are sold on a lot of e-commerce products, a lot of them are shipped from other countries, so that they can have like um, larger markets for people to buy from. So it has really changed and transformed the way people like shop, that's consumers, and has also changed the way businesses operate. In the business side, people who have businesses, how e-commerce has transformed their business, right? How e-commerce has transformed their business is having access to technology that leverage having access to technology that enables them sell their products to more than having access to technology that enables them sell their products to more than the customers that they would be able to reach on a normal day. So take for example, still the Jumia example, right? If I am a business owner on Jumia, that is, I'm a vendor on Jumia, right? Even if I have my physical shop, because I'm leveraging an e-commerce product like Jumia using technology, right? I am tapping into their network of over 1,000, over 3 or 5,000 or 10,000 customers that are actively looking for products that I already have in stock. So that alone has given me access to a pool of customers that I would typically not have access to in the normal market, right? And that is how e-commerce has transformed my business, as how e-commerce has transformed my business and how I operate as a vendor. And that's like the contrast or the comparison between how e-commerce affects or transforms, rather transforms businesses, how they operate, and transforms consumers and how they shop. So as we proceed in the class, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to transition from my slides to my notes. Okay, so let's look at the evolution of e-commerce and how it has transcended to how it's working right now. So let's look at the impact of e-commerce on retail, right? So if you explore like the impact of e-commerce on the traditional brick and mortar businesses, we're going to talk about how the convenience of online shopping has influenced consumer behavior, right? And also things like global reach, challenges, and the future trends. So let's just get into that. So before I move to this next slide, I was talking about how it impacted consumers behavior and how it's impacted businesses, right? And the first one we'll be looking at is convenience. So in terms of convenience, right, with the advent of products like Jumia, Konga, GG, and the rest of them like that. Everyone who has used their service will definitely have experienced an increase in the significant level of their convenience, right? Because e-commerce shoppers can now browse and purchase products from the comfort of their homes or anywhere they are located in, or anywhere they're located at any time, whether day or night. They can make purchases for the things that they need and get them either in a specific date or get them instantly. So it's not just I'm using examples of Jumia and Konga right now, right? But at the same time, we have also seen the advent of e-commerce seep into things like delivery services. So take for example, there's Jumia Food, there is Uber Eats, there is what's this other one called? There's Glovo, there's Childek, and the rest of them like that. You must have seen their dispatch riders, pass different places wherever you're located, right? This is also a means of how e-commerce has impacted consumer behavior, because people can now leverage e-commerce or leverage technology to buy products that they would need and get it instantly. For these examples I just listed right now, you can place orders for products and services from restaurants near you, from pharmacies near you, from yeah, from restaurants and pharmacies near you, and you can get them in less than 20 or 10 minutes. You can get them in less than 10 to 20 minutes because of these products. And these products that I've mentioned right now are still like e-commerce products, because it's essentially tying back to the definition of the first slide, where I said it's leveraging technology to sell products or services online. So e-commerce has really affected a lot of our purchasing, or a lot of our purchasing decisions as human beings. It has increased our level of convenience, where before you buy something, you're thinking, oh, let me just check on Jumia, or let me check on this app if I can get, instead of spending so much time and effort to go into the market, where you will spend time, you will spend money, and you would also stress yourself. But with e-commerce, it has brought in a lot of convenience into the lives of consumers like us. So let's highlight the second one, reading how e-commerce has impacted the lives of consumers. The second thing I'm going to be talking about today is selection, right? Please just take notes. So selection is essentially, e-commerce retailers, typically have a wider selection of products than brick and mortar stores, because a huge number of these e-commerce businesses or e-commerce products, right? They have large infrastructures where they are able to they have large infrastructures where they're able to offer a wider range of services and products than the typical brick and mortar businesses that exist in the market, right? So that's really one of the ways as well how e-commerce products have affected consumer purchases, right? Because we now have access to a wider range of selections. So this is in turn a good thing and also a bad thing, because it's a good thing because now you have access to a lot of products that you can choose from. It's a bad thing because it would also lead to a lot of impulsive purchases, because you have the luxury of being able to buy something and getting it instantly or the next day, right? It might also have a a bypass rate, a bypass effect on your finances, because you're able to make impulsive purchases. But in Nigeria, I'm not sure if there are a lot of e-commerce products in Nigeria that leverage instant delivery. Like, I'm talking about, like, likes of Jumia. But if it's like food, yes, you can get like instant delivery in like 10 or 45. Between 10 to 15 minutes, you're gonna get it, right? But if you look at the products like Amazon, for instance, there's what's it called? Amazon Prime. When you subscribe to Amazon Prime, you get it that same day, right? So that's also an example of an e-commerce product, and yeah, that's also an example of an e-commerce product. So if we're going to use the likes of Jumia, we can also mention Amazon. Also, the third thing I'm going to be talking about today on how e-commerce has impacted consumer purchasing. It's going to be price. E-commerce retailers, often have lower prices than brick and mortar businesses or brick and mortar stores, and this is due to lower, overhead costs, right? Because as an e-commerce, retailer, if you have a business that is leveraging an e-commerce product, right, you're not going to be spending a lot of things like electricity, rent, or what's it called again? Those overhead costs that you would normally incur in your business, right? But if you're leveraging an e-commerce product like Jumia or Konga, right, those overhead costs are cut down to a significant level where you're not even feeling it at all, right? Because you already have your products being managed by this, e-commerce companies, and that's a good example of how e-commerce has an effect on consumer purchasing. The fourth one I'm going to talk about is shipping, right? And e-commerce retailers, typically offer shipping, that's like delivery, right? And this can be convenient for shoppers, like people who are buying on their platforms, because people who don't want to travel to a store to purchase a product, you know they have that level of convenience, and they can just rely on the service of the e-commerce companies to facilitate the delivery, and they receive their products. All right, so we're going to discuss a bit on new trends and scenario of the digital world. Let's discuss a bit on new trends and the current scenario of the digital world and how it affects e-commerce in one way. So now we're not shifting, we're progressing from e-commerce down to digital trends and how it's changing the world today. So this is a digital marketing class, right? But in as much as the digital marketing class, we're also going to be able to learn a lot of things about digital technology and how it's impacting our world today, and how you know you as a digital marketer can leverage a lot of these technologies to amplify the value of your work. So the first thing we're going to be talking about on the trends today is you know, artificial intelligence. And this is a very popular one in our time today, because if you are not leveraging artificial intelligence in your work today, you are going to, well, you're not going to have a lot of difference, but you're just going to be missing out on a lot of things, right? And the digital world is constantly evolving, and there are new trends, emerging all the time. Some of the most notable trends would include things like artificial intelligence. What's the second one? Like the growth of the metaverse with Meta as a company, that's Facebook. Also, in like the increasing popularity of things like social commerce, and like um, the fourth one is like the shift to mobile. So we're going to like highlight a lot of these things, spend so much time in these areas, and have like a broad discussion on it.